The main character is told by his boss to deal with a corrupt director. A murder case had happened on this dude's district, which would have been fine if the student tried covering it up. Like, heavily tried covering it up. So now the main character and his team has to go and handle this corrupt director and handle the murder case. The victim was an 18-year-old delivery worker who would work other odd jobs to make a living and was sending money back to his sick mother. The kid was wearing clothes that he obviously bought for only the occasion he bought them for and was obviously going to return them because he kept the price tag on them. And when you do that, usually you don't plan to keep what you're wearing. He also had shoes he borrowed from someone, and there was a note on his head that said money on it. One of the main character's teammates is his crush. It's obvious he's crushing on this dude big time, but this dude doesn't really have feelings for him, and there's a love triangle going on between him, the main character, and the male lead, because it comes off that the male lead might be romantically attracted to the crush too, so they're both basically rivals with each other, though I'm not so sure if he actually has romantic feelings for the crush, or he's just playing into it because he sees that the main character has feelings for the crush, and so he plays into it himself, and which, upsets the main character and makes the main character notice him. But I can tell that the main male lead does care for the crush in some sort of way, but not romantically, but he could, and I could be wrong. Like, the male lead sent the crush flowers and a little note that was really romantic that has his, teammates hooting and harlowing at him over it. And the dude's like, I'm not romantically involved with no one. Like all of you, I am single. But he's not planning to stay single. He wants to find a partner he wants to marry. And so he has plans to set out to go on a blind date someone helps set up him for. How the main character and the male lead met each other was that the male lead called in his mother's death and it was ruled a suicide, and he argues with the main character over it. He does not believe his mother's death was a suicide, there was more into it, and the main character refuses to acknowledge that. And I'm siding with the male lead on this. His mother's death is very suspicious, but the main character refuses to see it. He has all the evidence he wants to believe as it is a suicide and refuses to look more into it. But since that day, the main character and the crush, they basically became the male lead's support system. They were there for him. They would take him out eating. The main character would buy him things. But him and the male lead's relationship is still very stiff because of that, and also because they're kind of rivals for the crush's affections and love. So how the male lead got involved in the case was he picked up the crush, and he makes the crush drive the vehicle, even though he was the one picking up the crush. And he ends up accidentally knocking the stuff out of the crush's bag, and the evidence fell into his lap, all the photos and stuff, which the crush should have kept in the police department but forgot to put up. And so it's in all over the male lead's lap, and the male lead, he can't handle blood. He is very terrified of blood. He gets very sick. He ends up puking up his guts if he sees blood. And so he's trying to get the photos all the way, but he does capture certain scenes from the photo, and he gives advice to the crush to look into. And the crush goes and gives that same advice to the main character to look into, which at first the main character didn't really care for the advice until he learned who the advice came from, and then he takes that advice very seriously. My lead also gets 2 pieces of evidence for the main character: cigarette butts and also security feed at a mansion to, one, prove the innocence of a suspect, which is kind of part of the male lead's little group of playboys, little rich boys, and he hands it over to the main character. It also could have security feed of the victim in the security feed, but it also feeds the supposed suspect of the case at this time. So there are 2 suspects. One is arrested by the corrupt director and his men to basically try to cover up the case and sweep the case under the rug, because This dude is the roommate of the victim, and he had the victim's phone on hand. A phone that's too expensive for them to own. And everyone had seen the victim with that phone, so everyone just assumes he stole it from the victim, and so he's arrested and claimed as the killer. The second suspect is that boy from the Mel-Leeds little rich boy group. Yes, he's arrested because he beat up the dude before, the victim before. So the victim had quote unquote harassed the sister of the rich boy suspect. He had basically followed the girl once she had got out the door, questioning her if she knew someone, and she was freaking out and had rushed to her brother and her boyfriend to get help. And the kid just wanted to know if she knew this dude. And since she didn't know who he was, and who this person was, she couldn't really answer him, and he was freaking her out. And so her brother beat the dude up. And once she realized how young the dude was, she had got her brother off the dude. Well, the dude had told the guy he borrowed the shoes from that after he gotten beaten up, the rich boy had gifted him the phone, except the rich boy did not gift him the phone. Someone else claiming to be him had gifted him the phone. Because the rich boy's like, why would I give him a phone? Like, yeah, I beat him up, but I thought he was being a creep towards my sister. So I had all rights to do that. And why would I gift if I liked someone a phone? If I was apologizing, why would I give them a phone? And I would never apologize for my actions. Like, the little rich boy is not that smart in the head. He's not that very smart. So he might not have been able to, like, do this murder. But he could have, and he's just pretending not to be as smart as he is. The rich boy suspect's sister, she had gotten a lawyer for her brother and brought the lawyer and the main lead to the police station so she could talk to her brother, or at least the lawyer talked to her brother. Once her brother is freed from the police station, he goes to see that lawyer, to take that lawyer out to eat. And once they get done eating, he gives the lawyer a bunch of money, and he meets up with his little fling and drops off the lawyer. But right before he drops off the lawyer, and he's too busy with his little fling thing, the lawyer injures himself because of the way the dude is driving and finds a tie. And he starts thinking maybe his client is actually the suspect. And he calls up the crush to inform the crush of what he found. And the crush informs the main character. When the rich boy was freed, his little gang all showed up. And they weren't the only ones who showed up. While trying to get out, the victim's mother showed up, and she was trying to ask any of them and who was the killer of her son, and none of them are listening to her, and she almost gets injured. Luckily, she falls into the Mel-Leed's arms, and while the rest of the gang had left, the Mel-Leed stayed by her side to comfort her and take care of her. And I think because he felt his own mother and the victim's mother.